All right, welcome everyone. Today we've got the Oola guys back on the show, and we've had them on a few times before. For those that aren't familiar with the Oola guys, they are sort of the rock stars of the essential oil world, as I like to think of them. They're just amazing and so passionate about helping people just live a balanced life, which is kind of a hard task to undertake. So I'm really excited to have you guys back on for this is episode 245 of the Essential Oil Revolution. So for those unfamiliar, we've got Dr. Dave, the Oola Seeker. You might want to give a wave for people watching the video. And then we've got Dr. Choi, the Oola Guru, and they are world renowned experts in proper work life balance. So I invited them back onto the show because they recently co founded the Oola Life Coaching Network, which certifies Oola coaches on how to get results and transform lives by guiding clients through the Oola framework. They are committed to building an army of good humans with a heart for helping others, to changing the world with one word, Oola. I love this idea. I get shivers every time I think about it. This army of good humans. What like an amazing goal to go through. And I'm so excited to dive into the coaching program, mostly because of all the talks you've given and all you've shared with us here on the show before. I always was sort of left with this idea of like, this is amazing. This is great. But I feel like I want someone to hold my hand and walk me through all these steps. Right. So I just think it's fantastic that you guys have created this new program. And we're going to get into all of that in a minute. But first, I want to just start out and ask you both each, what are your two favorite essential oils and why?
Oh man, I have to go back to some of the original Oola with mine. It would be Oola Balance, but then from a standpoint of the Young Living oil that I use every day, it's the Blue Spruce. I can't get
Ooh.
rid of it. I like it. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How do
I'm
you how do you like to use it?
I do this and I just put it on my neck. I just think it smells amazing.
It
So
does.
it's
Yeah.
like I use that instead of any kind of cologne or anything right now.
Right.
I'm
Right.
I'm gonna go back to way old school, back in the Gary days of being up at the farm and talking about blends. And I'm gonna go with Grow, Oola Grow, and I'm gonna go with Oola Finance. And I actually use it as an olfactory anchor. So if I'm working on personal finance or I'm working on growth, personal growth, I've linked it like in my brain. So when I smell either of those two things, I know what I'm supposed to be focused on and working on.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think the Oola line is fantastic for those unfamiliar with it. Go back and listen to some of our other episodes on that. But I love what the point you bring up, Dave, about the or Troy about the olfactory connection, because that's something I think a lot of people take for granted of how powerful the sense of smell can be for healing and for goal setting and for just making these connections between your intention and your brain. And so I think that the Oola line of oils really help people build a framework around, okay, I want to focus on fitness, or I want to focus on fun. I want to focus on these different aspects of my life. And here's just a concrete tool that helps me focus. Like, do you find that people have found that to be a really helpful aspect of the Oola program?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that only 8% of the people who set a goal actually achieve the goal. So
Mm.
we all have goals. We want to make more money, we want to grow our business, we want to get in shape, but only 8% see that through. And because setting goals is and seeing them through is difficult. So you have to engage basically every cell of your being. You have to read it every day. You have to take action toward it every day. You have to link it to an olfactory anchor. You have to use every tool in the box to make sure that you are in that 8% of people actually achieving goals.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a mind-blowing statistic there, but I believe it. It's really hard to, well, a lot of people aren't really taught how to set goals properly in the first place, and then let alone have the help to stick with them. So, yeah. Let's see. I want to talk about, before we get into the program, a lot of the work that you do focuses around helping people find balance, or maybe find balance isn't the right term because we really have to create that balance, right? So, what are some of the top tips that you help people with, and some things that people can implement starting today to help them find or create that balance?
I think it all goes to the framework on that, and I'll dig into that because that is really the essence of Oola. Like the secret sauce of Oola is digging into the framework of how to find balance in this unbalanced world. And, Troy and I were talking a lot about, Oola and people, and they reach out to us. And what Oola's done for a lot of people is it's inspired this hope that there's a better life out there. There's something better. They can get back to their dreams and goals. But they really got to go through the 3 simple steps, which is a big part of the Oola framework. And the 3 simple steps are, you have to understand where you are in the 7 key areas of life. So you have to know where your fitness, your finance, your family, your field, which is your career, faith, friends, and fun. You have to know where you are first and see where your stress is coming from. There's a lot of people that aren't happy, or they feel overwhelmed and they feel stressed, and they don't even know where it's coming from. They don't know why, when they wake up every morning, they feel not enough or less than. And then when they go to bed at night, they feel overwhelmed, stressed, and overworked, and they don't know why. And it really starts in step one. And that's really acknowledging, looking at every one of these areas. So for listeners to really go right into it right now, even on this podcast, or whether they're watching on video, is really start with fitness. Does it cause you stress in your life? Where are you? Are you healthy? Are you overweight? Are you out of shape? Are you struggling with diabetes? Are you struggling with any other diagnosis? Are you struggling with eating problems? Whatever it is, do you have problems in your mental and physical health? Where are you with your fitness? Then you go into your finances. People say, like, I'm pretty good in fitness. Now let's look at finance. Like, yeah, I'm pretty good, but they have 2 leased cars and they're struggling in debt, and they have fights with their spouse about finances, but they don't talk about it. What Oola does in the framework is it makes you look at this. And by looking at it and saying, where am I in fitness for real? Where am I in finances for real? Not just if I drive 2 leased cars and have a nice house, but where am I in finances? And I think, coming into 2020 and people being furloughed and people being their finances being stressed in the times that we've gone through, have really exposed a lot of weaknesses. Like, oh man, I don't have a 7-month emergency fund. I don't have money saved for emergencies. I don't have multiple streams of income. I do rely heavily on my job, and I don't have other ways to make money. Where now it's an opportunity to look at that and get very real with your fitness, your finance, your family life. Like, is it really how you want it to be? Your relationship with your spouse, your relationship with your kids, your relationship with your in-laws, your sisters, brothers. How is all that looking? Friends, look into that and say, how are you with your friends? Do you have close relationships, or is there drama? Do you have friends that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person's calling me, it's going to ruin my day? So number one is really getting an idea of where you are in all 7 areas. And number two, step 2 in Oola's, is putting together your plan for your Oola life. It's like, okay, if I identify that finance is my main stress, what do I need to do? What credit cards do I need to pay off? What student loans do I need to pay off? What do I need to do to save an emergency fund? What do I need to do to be properly insured in case something happens to me for my family? If I identify it's with my friends, which toxic friend do I need to block, delete, get rid of, because it's not worth my time? And then you go into writing that down, your goals, and then you take action on it every single day. And that's step 3. So where are you today? Where do you want to go? And how are you going to get there is really the core essence of Oola. And that's the framework that so many people have used to live a better life, live their best life, and live differently than others. It's going against the grain of, everybody goes to college and then they graduate, or they have student loans and they lease 2 cars and move to the suburbs, and they find themselves 35, 40 years old. They're not happy with that. But what does your Oola life look like? And we help people design that, which is not only rewarding and fun, but it's super awesome to see people going through that process themselves and start to see those breakthrough moments where they're like, I'm living this life, but man, I can live a much better life and a much healthier life for myself mentally and physically. And they start taking action towards that.
Okay. Now I'm curious about the moment, the between step 1 and step 2, because when I hear you talk about looking at all the areas in your life and the 7 areas that you break down and you help people look at, I just imagine that some people, once they sort of put it down on paper or see it in some sort of visual aid, which I know I love on your website how you have the free like Oola wheel that you can fill out, and it really shows you like a visual presentation of, hey, here's the areas that you might need to work on. And I imagine for some people they kind of take a step back and they're like, oh my God, I need to work on everything, and everything's falling apart. And well, what do I do next? And it might be really hard for them to just push past that and get to the step 2 of making a plan. So I imagine that's something you help people walk through in the course.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the framework. The framework leads them ultimately to one, because even as you walk someone through the framework, we teach them how to set goals in a way that they can actually achieve them. So we tactically teach them a skill on how to set a goal, how to overcome the blocker that's getting in the way, whether it's fear or guilt or self-sabotage. And then they ultimately get to one point, like at least one thing, I need to take action on this one thing, because it can feel overwhelming. But we say, what if not all of these areas change, but what if just 3 of them did? What if you got your top 3 goals? Would your life be different today than it is right now? Because most people are simply stuck. They're more used to, we're in a culture that's really weird, in the fact that people spend more time appearing happy than actually working on becoming happy. They're posting happy and they're quietly overwhelmed and stressed. It's so interesting when we launched this framework. We thought Dave and I were the only guys who could teach it. Now we have an army of coaches in 14 countries teaching this, and we see them getting the same results we're getting because they drop someone in this framework and they look at the 7 key areas. You would be surprised how many people avoid one area of their life that they know they need to work on subconsciously by pouring into their business. Like their marriage is struggling and they compensate by dumping into their business. And they build an amazing business, but they're miserable because they don't have a relationship with their children or their spouse, or their health suffers. And what this causes you to do is, we're not telling you, the typical success person from the 80s said, hey, you do these things, you'll be like me, be amazing like me. This isn't that at all. This is your unique journey. The framework it's like a formula that's unique to you, like a fingerprint, where your goals and dreams that you have for you, what you want to do for a career, what your family looks like, what you think is enjoyable for fun, is completely different than mine and completely different than anyone else's. And that's the beautiful thing about this, is we're just telling you everyone is just punked, and like they're like sheeple who go to school and their parents say you should go to college, so they go to college, and then they get to college, you got to get student loan debt, you got to get a car loan, and then Dave mentioned it, but it's they wake up 30 and 40 years old and they're unhappy, and they look back because their purpose was going this way, was pushing them toward maybe being creative or an artist or move to another part of the country or world, but culture pushed them here. And those 2 lines divide, and when they're 30 and 40, they're so far apart they don't even identify themselves because it's so far apart from who God designed them to be. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is the framework makes it bite-sized. Rather than doing what most people do, is they start thinking about life balance and they just become overwhelmed and stay stuck. This actually pushes you down a framework that requires movement. And the movement it requires is in direct alignment with who you're designed to be, not someone else's plan for your life.
Mm-hmm. And it takes work, like you said, Troy. Like it doesn't just happen overnight, and people are busy, appearing to be happy but not doing the work to achieve that happiness. And a lot of that is what you're saying, where as a culture, as a society, we tend to push in this one direction of seemingly safe, right? It's like, this seems like the safe choice to go down, go to college, take out all the loans, get the car, get the house, all that stuff. And even though it's not even the safest route to go down, that's just sort of what we tell people, I feel like, as a society. And I love the thought that there's really only 2 emotions in life. There's fear and there's love. And so I love that what you guys do is this whole program, this whole framework is really built out of love. So many people are living down the path of fear where they're really only making choices because they're scared of doing anything else. And the whole Oola framework is about, well, what do you love? What brings you joy? And how can we make choices that send us down those paths instead, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the cool part, when you see people have those breakthrough moments, like we were talking about a little earlier, and they see that they are far apart from where they want to be. They're having that life of overwhelm and stress, but they start to see a path open up on how to get back there. And that leads us into even step 3, which is your ULA path. It's like, what action steps can you take every day to move you in that direction? So if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, maybe your marriage is perfect, but you have toxic friends, or maybe you don't have your finances figured out, step 1 forces you to look at that, because that is where your unhappiness and stress comes from. Step 2 forces you to really look at that and say, all right, what does my life look like if I have an emergency fund, if I have my debt paid off, and if I get rid of that toxic friend or surround myself with better friends? And then step 3 is really a community of people that support you on your journey. Oola's become, the coaches call themselves the Oola Army. And there's this Oola community of over 1 million people around the world that are taking steps towards their Oola life. But really what you see is, you see people taking 3 steps every single day. They're called like mini goals. and you write them down and take 3 steps every day. So if I wake up and I say, okay, what I need in my life is I need this credit card paid off. It is causing me stress. I can barely make the payment every month. That could be overwhelming. But if you know if every day you take 3 simple steps towards that, whether it's even lining up a garage sale, selling stuff out of your closet, putting stuff, wherever on Facebook Marketplace to get rid of stuff to start paying off that credit card, you take these bite-sized chunks. And if you take 3 a day, that's over 1,000 steps a year. So taking those steps every day in a year, you wake up and the credit card's paid off, you have less stress in your finances, and now you can go tackle other areas of your life that bring you more fulfillment and purpose.
Yeah.
So that's really the framework in a nutshell, is where are you? Where do you want to go? And then join this community of people around the world that are taking action steps every day to get there, and start achieving goals in all 7 areas so that you can live that purpose-filled life. And that brings you, like Troy was talking about, you wake up so far apart, but it brings you closer to your true purpose, what God designed you to be. We always say you're designed by God for greatness and a purpose, but people have been lost. And now start taking those action steps every day and start bringing yourself closer to your true purpose of who you are, as what you're created to do.
Yeah, I love when people start taking those action steps, even if they seem like tiny little baby steps. There's a compound effect that happens. It's like a snowball. It starts to build. Like once you start checking these achievements off your list, or even, just in your brain, you can look back and say, wow, I really moved forward in that one direction. Then you keep moving forward. And at the end of the year, like you said, just 3 steps a day, you've made over 1,000 steps. I love that. But it is an ongoing process. And I think that's something that we need to clarify a little too, because I feel like a lot of people, when they start looking at, any sort of self-help or, goal setting or things like that, they can approach it like it's this finite thing. Like, okay, I'm going to start this program, and then when I'm done, I'm going to be the best human I could possibly be. But I don't know if you guys agree, but I feel like that sort of personal development, goal setting, it's a never ending journey, but in a beautiful way. Right. And so I imagine that even after all these years, you guys have been teaching Oola, teaching people how to find balance. Are there some examples you can share of some of the personal work that you've still had to do, even just in these recent months?
Well, it's always, I mean, that's what Oola is a lifestyle. It's not an event. It's not a Oola Palooza. It's not a book you read. It's every day you wake up and say, I want to be a better version of me, and I see my potential, and I value myself, and I'm going to take small steps every day toward that. And if you just think about it, this started way back in the 90s, where we would meet twice or once a year for 2 days in Vegas, and we'd look at these 7 areas. And many times, one year you'd sit down and go, my biggest issue right now is personal finance. I need to generate more income for my family. And you'd focus on that. You'd take steps, and you'd come back next year, just like the circus performer spinning the plate. You spin the finance plate, and you're so focused on that. You come back next year, you go, you know what? My relationship and my health has suffered because I took 3 jobs, and the finance is good now, but now I'm a new person. Now that the current things I need to work on are family and fitness. And that's why it's an ongoing thing. It's not like you ever check a box. We're always evolving as humans, and we're over here. And just when we start working on our health, it's like, okay, now I need to spend time with my family, work on your family. Now I got to start having fun again. You're always, but you're always aware. And I think that's the coolest thing about Oola, is it forces you to run your life through this lens of how am I doing? Because real quickly in the community of Oola, I could meet you and say, how you doing? Like, how's your Oola? And you'd say, my finances are good, my career is good, but man, I need to spend time with my spouse. Because real quickly, you could do a simple, you don't need a fancy wheel, you don't need to do a book, you can do a simple self-assessment like, hey, my health is starting to struggle, I need to start focusing on that. It's a beautiful way, because this is the part that's so amazing, is that we become safe. You use the word safe, and we've settled for average. And the core of Oola is we don't believe we were built for average. We believe we were designed by God for something great. And we become safe and we become comfortable, but we become incredibly unhappy. And that's just not us saying that. If we look at the statistics of the category of fitness, we know where our health is as a nation and for our kids. If you look at finance, debt is at the highest level it's ever been, even after 2008. You look at families, 53% of first marriages end in divorce. I mean, go down the line. You look at career, 55 to 70% of people are in jobs they hate. This just blows my mind that we
crazy.
Settle.
Yeah.
We drive to a job we hate, come home to a spouse we can't stand, look at a stack of bills we can't pay, look on Instagram at people we compare ourselves to and feel less than, and we call this life, and we're wondering why we're unhappy. It's just, I can't believe people don't look at that and go, there has to be another way. There has to, this can't be all there is. And that's all we're saying is, If you're feeling that way, yes, it's going to take work, but there is a proven framework that'll allow you to do that.
So I love that you're not just building this army of good humans, you're building an army of good, happy humans. And there's a difference there.
But it benefits the whole culture, because
Yeah.
if someone has a gift and a skill and they finally tap into it and can use it, that doesn't just benefit them and their family, it benefits the world, because they're finally shining a light. If you've seen someone in their purpose, if you've seen someone doing what they're designed to do, they put out this glow that's a natural magnet to everyone else. And rather than a person who grinds to a job every day they hate, they just have this look about them that's different. And we just want people to find their place and just let that shine.
So I want to spend the rest of the time with you both to talk about the coaching program, because that's one thing that I know is kind of new, but you've been doing it for how long now?
So we've actually been on the bus talking about doing certifying people to teach Oola for probably 3 to 4 years, but it launched a year ago. And the reason is it was one bus, two guys, 50 states, a million dreams. Like, we want to go change the world. Like, our mission in Oola is to change the world this word. We want to impact 1 billion lives in Oola, in our lifetime with Oola. And we've worked really hard to do that. We've made a lot of headway doing that, but we knew 3 years ago, 4 years ago already, that someday we're gonna have to certify people to take this message and go teach other people Oola. So we worked on the program for a couple of years. We start off in this life coaching world about what is it like to be a life coach. Maybe you'd be a certified life coach and you teach Oola. And then we saw that that system was broken. There's a lot of life coaches. They pay a ton of money for a certification. Once they're certified, really they're on their own, like, oh, go coach now. And they don't know what to do. They don't know how to get leads. They don't know how to make it a career. They don't know how to make it a part-time or full-time job. And they weren't making a living doing it. So we knew we had to really disrupt that whole industry. So we sat down with some really smart people, spent a couple years putting together the program that launched last October. And we really said, okay, how can we disrupt it in a way that allows people to really get certified and turn it into a part-time or full-time career, turn it into piggybacking their personal brand onto our brand, even if they have a home-based business, using this coaching program to blow up their home-based business or grow their home-based business as well. And that's how we package the whole thing. So when someone decides, like, okay, I'm going to become a certified life coach, I want to help people with the Oola framework. I want to help people find balance, whether it's through little courses, classes, teaching the framework, coaching, whatever it is. They go through a certification, which teaches them everything about the framework. So first of all, going through it helps you yourself, because you actually put yourself through the framework. You look at your finances in depth. You look at your relationships, your friendships, you look at your career, you go through the process. Then the second half of the program is all about marketing strategies and branding and personal branding yourself. And then when you're certified, then you actually work through the process. You get ongoing training, up to 5 trainings, per month that people are in,
Wow.
whether it's sales training, whether it's personal brand training, whether it's along the lines of what it's like to coaching people, helping people, that type of thing. And then you're part of this global brand. So that's really the direction of it. So when people sign up to be coaches, they pick their little niche market of, like, I want to work with women over 60 who are now empty nesters, or people returning from military, or people in home-based businesses, or stay-at-home moms. And I want to coach them and bring that balance, that life balance to them, and show them that there's a better way. And then they take people through the proven framework. So it's not free-form coaching like, hey, how are you doing, Samantha? How was your week?
Right.
It's like, you're going through module 1 right now. Let's talk about your finances based
Yeah.
on what we're learning together. You're simply the guide and guiding people through the process. And that's really what's taken off in the coaching world, is there's a lot of life coaches that are now coming to Oola because they want to use our framework and our tools to re-engage what they do. They care about people. They have a heart for helping others, and that's what they want to do. So that part of it's been really fun to watch, is people like really grabbing onto this and really going out and making a difference and helping a lot of people.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. So, if someone joins the program, about how long is the training part, or how long are people generally finding their way through it before they can really sort of launch and start helping people? Because you're right, that's why people would do something like this. They love helping other people, and I'm sure they're very anxious to get started.
It varies. It's completely self-directed, which is amazing. And some people pound through it in a couple of weeks, which I don't even know if we'd recommend that, because we want you to absorb the material and apply it in your own life. And some people take a few months. But it's very in-depth. It's all that when we looked at the coaching industry, we said we want to disrupt it in a way that instead of taking someone with degrees all over the wall, we actually wanted heart-centered people who really want to make a difference in the world. What we found in our 7 years of driving that bus is we said good humans. There's just a bunch of good humans who really feel called to do good work ahead of anything else. They're selling products, they're doing this, but the thing they love most is pouring into other people and seeing positive change in someone else's life and feeling they had some small part of that. So we built this in a way that it's completely self-directed, learn at your own pace. You can't go on to the next module until you pass the test. So we're comfortable, you know the material, and no one's monitoring your results. So if you take the test 3 times, no one cares. So it's just, we made it in a way, but we do want you to understand the material because this framework works. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Dave's talking about free form coaching. That's a term used in life coaching world. It's difficult and challenging because clients are different. Some are business driven. Some, they talk about the color analysis in network marketing of the different colors and personalities. The beautiful thing is you put anyone in this framework and what they need to work on pops out the other side. So as a coach, you can confidently say, just with social proof of thousands of other people who've used this framework, that if you've identified this problem and someone follows that framework, they'll see results. They will see their life finally moving forward. If it's a business goal to grow their home-based business, or if it's to pay off debt or to get in shape, whatever it happens to be, you can confidently do that. So I would say the short answer is 2 weeks to 3 months. I would say an average time, and Dave talks to a lot of the coaches upon their certification more than I do, but usually I would say an average time is about 1 month if you're focused on the program.
Yeah, I mean, you go through it in 30, 60 days, and then you come through the back end of it. And that's really when we go even more in-depth training of the marketing strategies, the personal branding, on how to get leads, how to start to work with people, how to make a difference in the world. And the one thing we have a lot of people coming in for is, like, they have this heart for helping people. They want to go out and make a difference in the world, but they're also looking for multiple streams of income, ways to lead a team, become a better leader, learn how to speak on stages, learn how to do online courses. All of that's part of it. Because what we want to do is a very well-rounded person that, again, has a heart for helping others, wants to be part of a big vision and a big mission, but then they have different tools. Some people want to do online courses. Some people want to do in-person. Some people want to be on stages. Some people being on a stage would make them throw up. So they want to do one-on-one coaching. So we teach the whole array of, like, how you coach, how you want to coach,
Right.
but here's all the tools to do that.
So you
yeah,
give them options. You don't tell them
Yeah.
you have to go, speak on a stage to find success. You give them the options of, like, finding your way of sharing. But I love that you give them the education to know how to do that, because there's so many programs out there, not just with life coaching, but with all sorts of programs where, it might be good at teaching you how to do that thing, but then you're left sort of on your own and you have no idea how to market yourself, which people don't like that word marketing or learning how to sell yourself. But really, it's just about how do you get in front of the people who need your help? And not everyone just is born knowing how to do that. So I think that's just fantastic that you include that as part of this structure.
Or they're not naturally gifted at it. So we have, a lot of people love the Oola graphics they see. We have professional marketing team that creates professional emails, copywritten emails, and posts that they can modify for their own needs. So we want to make them look like a pro because it's our brand too. That's why this thing sat on the bus for 3 to 4 years. It was a great idea. We knew we couldn't do it alone. People were saying, could I get coached? Could I become certified to coach Oola? We didn't even know, like, that was a thing.
Right.
So we just pushed it away because we protect this brand because we love it so much. We know that if it's done properly, it changes lives. But if it's done poorly, it reflects bad upon the brand and people aren't going to get results. So that's why we took so much time to do this. And we used this time, but actually the timing was perfect because during COVID, people have the time finally to train. And they've also learned that they can e-learn from home, and they're also looking for multiple sources of income. So all this crazy time actually turned out to be a perfect storm to launch the coaching program. And in the first 30 days, we had coaches in all 50 states and 12 countries. So people were hungry for this, but it's just something that they need to do it their way. Oola is about being you. So there are people who want to be on stages. There are people who just want. There was one guy, and I knew him just from social media. I reached out to him like, why would you? I knew he was doing great financially. He had an amazing life. I knew he had a great business. I'm like, you're becoming certified. Are you going to become a life coach? He said, no. He said, I just want to learn this in such depth that I can teach it to my children because this changed my life. Yeah. So some people are making epic coaching businesses from it. Some people are using it to lead their home-based business team on how to set goals in a way they can achieve them collectively as a team and keep each other accountable. I mean, everyone's goal is different, and we've made it so inclusive that people can grab like a buffet what they need and what they can use and what they can benefit from.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So one thought I had, what was my thought? It was, oh yeah, how much is the training? So how much of the training is led by you guys, and like walk me through what that kind of looks like as far as the time that they spend with you and the videos, and then who else is on your team that is helping lead these amazing coaches through?
You went to mute.
Oh yeah, you're on mute there,
I'm
Dave.
good now, right? Can you
Yeah,
hear
Yep,
me?
you're good.
you're
You're
good.
good.
What I was saying is, when someone wants to get certified, we're actually having them talk to our team of advisor coaches, and the advisor coaches are our life coaches, our Oola life coaches, who interview you to see if you're ready, to see if you're ready to be a coach, to see if you have a heart for helping others and you want to be part of this mission and this vision, and answer any questions that you have. And then once you decide together, like, hey, I'm ready, then you move to the next step of getting certified. That's all done through online video training that go at your own pace. That's done by Troy and I. So you watch a video of us, we break down a certain concept in Oola, whether it's the Oola wheel or the Oola plan or fear or guilt or self-sabotage. We break that down. Then you go through a portion where you read and answer questions, take a quiz before you can move to the next module. All of that training is done by Troy and I. Once you're certified, then you come into the certified Oola Life group. And that is amazing training. The certification is unreal. We've had no one go through it that didn't say that. It was just amazing for their own life, taught them what they need to do. But people, once they're certified, that's when the real magic starts, because you're in the certified group with all the other coaches, like a community of coaches, where we have literally a bouncer. She's the sweetest person on the planet, but keeps all drama out. So there's no drama allowed. There's no judging allowed. This is a group of people who care and love each other, that are out to change the world. The mission's about changing the world, not about drama. So it's just a great community of coaches. But inside that, the training, Troy and I do one Zoom a month with them. And that's mostly on like a personal development level. We have a master coach who teaches 2 Zooms a month. That's on professional development. She teaches actually, like, if you have a client that is struggling with this, or if you have a client that's struggling with fear, how to work them through this process. And then we have a sales team that actually does sales training. So that's where Troy said it was a buffet, because you can pick and choose about, yes, I want to do this sales training because I want to learn more about sales. I want to learn more about closing. I want to learn more about, how to take someone in a like an exploratory call all the way to becoming a client. So you can learn sales. Then there's a marketing call that I do, where I go through the monthly marketing materials, because every coach every month gets a packet, 20, 30 pages of pre-done marketing, all
Wow.
the graphics, all the pictures for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and email. And then I go through the marketing. That's more on how to get leads. So it's just really hand holding you through the whole process. There's a ton of training, but you get to pick and choose what you want. So we have people that just choose the Dave and Troy training. We have people that choose all 5. We have people that just focus on the sales training for 3-4 months, whatever it is, based on the needs they want.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So, for people that are interested in learning more, I know you guys have set up a page just for my people there. We should have talked about this probably before we started, but is there a discount that we're giving to the podcast fans out there?
Basically, if they go to oolalife.com/networking, that's your page. And that's how you're going to get to an advisor coach. Make sure you tell them you come from this podcast and they'll help you out on the other end. But what the biggest thing is just really talking to an advisor coach to see if this is a good fit for you, if it fits into your business, your lifestyle, your time, your finances, all that stuff, however that fits together. That's the best place to start. So oolalife.com/networking.
That's awesome. So I love this. I love that you have now created a framework for people to go out and share Ula. Because if there's one thing that's for sure, every time I've seen you guys speak on a stage or do a video, or when you've driven around in your bus, I mean, there's just so many lives that you too have personally impacted for the better. I mean, people who go through any of your events, read your book or anything, they come out the other side with this just vigor for life that, it's hard to, I haven't seen many things out there in the world that have done that the way that you guys do that for so many people, and you've touched so many lives. And one thing that happens when people come out the other side of that is they want to give back. They want to share with other people. They say, "Man, this is something that helped me so much. I have to tell everyone about it. I have to help everyone." And now you have this way for people to do that that is structured enough to share that success out there with other people. So I'm a huge fan of this. I love this. This is, I think, the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm so glad that you guys finally went through the steps to make this happen. And I just from hearing you guys talk, and I'm sure as someone who knows what it's like to have a brand and want to protect that brand, I'm sure it was no easy feat trying to figure out how to do this. So just congratulations, you guys. I'm so excited for you. And I can't wait to see, yeah, how much this grows and how many more lives that you guys are going to impact. So before we say goodbye, I wanted to ask, since you guys have started this new coaching program, what are maybe one or two stories that you could share of some unexpected results or things that like you had no idea this was going to happen and you're like, oh wow, this happened?
For me, I think we're on the road and we're on that. You can't see it on the podcast, obviously, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the bus. We're on this bus a lot, and we're dropping a message and a belief in people that they're built for amazing things, and just to boldly go get that. But many times we drop the message, they put a sticker on the bus, and we roll through. We don't see the results. But a number of our coaches have been impacted by the Oola framework, meaning we saw them in a city, we saw them at a gas station, we saw them at an event, and they changed their life. I saw one so the coaches then are inspired to take what they've learned and share it with other people, like you said. And there was a gal last week I didn't even know about, and she said she had lost 122 pounds and paid off $78,000 in debt. And these are someone you would think that that's like something I should hear about. Like that's pretty flipping amazing. And we're hearing more and more of these stories because now these coaches are doing. Oola's changed my life. Oola's changed Dave's life. So it's always been us saying, hey, do this thing because your life can be amazing. You don't have to settle for this. But now the coaches are sharing their own experiences. So me, and I'll take the blame for this. I was the one resisting and protecting this brand we love so much. I was getting in the way of it. The very first sticker on that bus, by the way, Dave and I put on in San Diego years ago, and it said, change the world with a word. If we could go back 26 layers and peel back those stickers, we would add a word, and we'd say together, changing the world with a word. Because now we finally see the impact of good humans coming together for a good cause with a heart for helping other people and using a proven framework to get results. I can't explain. David's talking about the ongoing support of this coaching group. He didn't mention that on Tuesdays, we have this post called C3, a community of coaches, coaching coaches, where coaches get in this thread and go, I did this helped me grow my business. I did that. All positive, all supportive, all like, I did this is how I did it. How do you do a Zoom? And then they share Saturday. They have sharing Saturday where they get in and go, I did my first talk. I signed up my first client. I did this. And they're just to see the community in a world right now where if you look outside of this, it just feels hopeless. To find a group of people that are seeing a better way, and better yet, they're actually taking action to make the world a better place. It's amazing.
I think the cool thing for me, I mean, there's so many stories, but I would like to talk about just actual individual coaches that are starting to have those breakthrough moments with clients and how cool that is, because Troy and I have experienced that for a long time. Samantha, you may have experienced working with someone where they have that light bulb moment and their life changes. You say that Oola, the framework of Oola, has impacted so many lives. And it's cool to be able to be part of that. But now it's really cool to see other people do that. It's almost like seeing your children be successful at what they love. Because when coaches are talking to us and they're saying, I got to module 4 and this person finally had their breakthrough, that they were holding on to guilt from 20 years ago, and that was impacting their relationship with their kids and their husband. And now they're doing so much. Like, that's the most amazing thing for me. And then to see coaches take this and turn this into a part-time, full-time career is incredible. And it just moms, males and females, but a mom coming up to me and saying, this is finally something that I love to do, and I can incorporate with everything else I love to do, and I can actually make money doing this for my family during the time of crisis that so many people are in, is incredible. So it's emotional for me because I talk to a lot of coaches and work with a lot of coaches. So does Troy. But when they say to us how Oola's changed your life, yes, we know you lost the weight, all that, but now they get to experience what it's like to help other people change their life too. That's incredible. That's like the next level of special is when we have other people that learn this framework and they get to be on the front row seat of someone getting out of a toxic marriage or abusive marriage or saving a marriage or going back to church or whatever it is, and they get to be on the front row seat of that and they come back to us with tears in their eyes. That's so special to me.
It's such a gift to give, right? And it's I think something that's inside all of us, this just base need to give back and to serve others. But we live in this world where that's just not always easy to do. So that's incredible. I'm getting chills here just thinking about all the joy that this is gonna bring to so many people. So congrats again, you guys. I'm so excited for you. And again, for those listening to the podcast or watching this on YouTube, we'll put a link to everything you need just below this video. Thank you again, Troy, Dave. It's always so much fun hanging out with you guys.
Thank you.
And yeah, have a great rest of your day.
Great
Thank
catching
you
up.
so
Thanks for
much.
having us.